So, hi Huazu. I know that you are a UPLIGHT software engineer. Could you tell me a bit about your current roles and responsibilities at UPLIGHT?
Sure. I am, as you said, doing software engineering at UPLIGHT, which is a technology company where we help the ecosystem of energy providers, consumers, to be able to monetize, deploy, conserve energy in the best ways and move the whole energy industry forward. As part of my current role and responsibilities, I write code and make software to help us move those business goals forward and to help drive more revenues for the business.
Awesome. Yeah, I read a little bit into it. It's about clean energy, I believe.
That's correct.
Is there like a headquarters? Like, is it US based or is it anywhere else?
The headquarters of the company is in Colorado, and we have employees dispersed in many different locations because we are a remote friendly workplace. And I also love that we work in an industry where everybody around the world needs to use energy. So the effects of what we do are quite wide reaching.
Super awesome. Okay. How did you get started in this industry and what attracted you to this field? And also, what has your career path been like?
I love what I do now because I get to learn every day and I get to build. I get to build into existence functionality, ways to solve problems that didn't exist prior to myself and my teammates building it. And I find that that ability to create is very attractive to me for this field, as well as how it pushes me to learn all the time because to solve different problems, there are different solutions. I get to learn different perspectives. I get to try out different methods and learn from them. So that learning aspect is also very attractive to me. In terms of how I got started, before I moved into software engineering, I had a career in product management that was
Mm-hmm.
more business and user facing and taught me a lot of skills about how to understand what customers want and how to always put them at the front and center of everything that we're doing, which is a perspective that really helps me today to do my technical work from a place of always creating the best outcomes for the customer. In terms of what my career path has been like, it's always been in line with me over time learning skills and also getting better in tune with myself from knowing what I really want to challenge in myself next. What are the skills that I want to build? And then I think about how do I get to environments that can help me to grow those skills and help me continue to feel like I'm growing no matter what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned coding and, of course, your job, I assume, but you also mentioned that you did your undergrad in econ. So, did you learn coding on your own?
I learned it through a variety of ways, a portfolio approach to learning, I would say. I did some learning on my own using materials, resources I could find on the internet. I also went through a course. I went through resources and got the help of friends who already knew how to code and had them help explain or pair program with me to learn different concepts. So for me, it was very much a learning style that
Mm-hmm.
was try many different ways, see what sticks, what works for me, and also being open to using the resources that are available to me.
Very awesome. Yeah, a lot of online resources now. Too many, almost.
Right.
You also
About
mentioned
less much.
project management. Did you get your PNP?
I do not have that. I know that that is some credential that many people have, and it's amazing that you know about this.
I did people. Yeah.
No, but I would say that for me, ultimately, I learn best by doing. And so a lot of what I learned about how to, if you're asking about how to manage so that work gets done, risks get mitigated. I learned a lot of that through doing it on the job.
And I think diving deeper into like the start of your career, so I know you graduated from Harvard. Very impressive. It's not every day I get to say I talked to a Harvard grad, but very impressive. So did you get those connections out of like your first job to start your first job out of Harvard, or how did you end up landing jobs in this field?
My first job out of college was not exactly in the field that I work in now, but I can share how I got there. So, yes, to the point that you are making, I was very fortunately part of a program at a company that came on our campus to recruit. So, the summer before my last year of university, I interned with that company. And after my internship, I got an offer to return full time, which I decided to accept. And so that was how I got my first job. It was at an investment bank and helped me to learn business skills. It helped me to learn a lot about working under pressure, working with all sorts of different people, which are all skills that I continue to use to this day.
Super awesome. I think just quick question: Did you pursue your master's or maybe a PhD?
I do not have these advanced degrees. I would love to. In a dream world, I would be full-time studying all of the time. It sounds like a blast. But yeah, I'm so curious. What makes you interested in exploring that already? You haven't even gone to university yet.
I
You're already.
know. Yeah. I think most people in the field either like have these super like qualified educational backgrounds, or they find their ways through just work experience, or they just get lucky sometimes too. But yeah, it's really interesting knowing everyone's path. Like some people get PhDs and I'm like crazy for this job, right? But yeah. So
Never know. Might be you one day.
so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be like, I really want to write a dissertation about this very specific topic.
A little bit too forward thinking for now. So 3, what does a typical day look like for you?
I'm sure many of your interviewees say this, but there is rarely a typical
Yes.
day. There are some buckets of activities that I do at work, and every day, each of them might take a different portion depending on what are the priorities at the moment. So some of those buckets are programming, collaborating, learning, and knowledge sharing. So when I say programming, that is being in deep focus, writing code, refactoring, doing everything end to end, testing, doing unit testing, integration testing, or even coming up with the infrastructure of how do we have a testing process overall that's useful and reliable. So everything end to end that's involved in writing code and coming up with solutions that can be expressed through code. And then in terms of the bucket of collaboration, that involves getting context from the people in the business facing areas about why we're building what we're building so that we can come up with the best ways of how to build it. It involves chatting with teammates, with different stakeholders so that we all are bought into the best ways forward. It includes potentially collaborating with people outside of the company, whether it's vendors, providers that give us information, for instance. And then the bucket of learning is that this field is always changing. So I enjoy keeping in touch with what's going on in the industry. And when I have a problem to solve, I want to understand what are the best ways to solve this problem and optimize for solving it in the best way possible, whether that could be using a technology that maybe I don't know yet, and so now I learn it, or getting stories from other people of how they solve similar problems and learning from their mistakes and lessons learned. And then in terms of knowledge sharing, that comes from maybe writing documentation that can be shared with other people so that they can learn. It comes from giving presentations, hosting office hours where other teams can learn about what we're doing. Sometimes this involves external in my career where I have gone to do speaking engagements or be on panels. And so these are examples of the types of units of work that might happen and the ways I work with other people. And every day it really depends on what's most important for me to get done.
Super cool. I'm actually going to turn on my light real quick because I got real dark real quick.
The sunset.
Yeah. So you mentioned like a lot of like you mentioned a lot, but could you I don't know if you're able to share this, but could you share like the physical end product that you might be working on, or like a little bit about it? Like, is it, I don't know, when I imagine clean energy, it's like a windmill right now. Yeah.
I'm glad that you even have that windmill in your imagination. Yes, so in terms of what I am building now, I am currently on a team where we work on getting consumers of energy into programs that are better for the energy efficiency and ultimately the environment. So one example of a program that is better for the customer and better for the environment could be that a customer, let's say you in your home or your family, you could opt into letting your energy provider, which is an energy utility, letting them to control, let's say, the thermostats in your home. And what they will do is, let's say you're in LA and there is a heat wave coming and we don't want everybody to be turning on their air conditioning at the exact same time and bringing down the grid potentially. So in order to help the utility be better at providing energy reliably, in order for you and your family to have a better experience, and also to get cost savings on energy, you might opt into some sort of program where the utility says, we'll run the analytics, we'll figure out when is the best time to set your temperature at certain points. So that is an example of ultimately how we affect customers in their homes. And the work that my team does is the software that enables that to happen. So for instance, people have to opt into it. They have to see if they're in a position where the utility is able to offer them this sort of offering. So there's a lot behind the scenes, and that's the end goal that we're helping to enable.
Super cool. Yeah, the automation part's really cool. It's like the same idea as what was it? Cars. If all the cars on the road like start moving at the same time, it makes everything more efficient. It's that same idea in my head. But yeah, really cool.
You sound like someone who's been stuck in LA traffic.
Yes, it's horrible. I hate commuting. So what you kind of talked about it, but what skills or qualifications with a soft skill focus do you think are essential for someone in your position?
That's interesting that you're asking with a soft skill focus. So yes, aside from the programming skills, there is a lot that is from collaboration. So in a technical sense, I collaborate with teammates on pair programming, and that involves helping teammates to feel safe with each other, to learn from each other. And those are skills that involve having empathy, listening, being open-minded. And then there are also a lot of skills that are around once we do our work, or even when we are doing our work, we need to communicate about our work to other people so that they understand what we're doing, maybe, or if another team is depending on our work, they can have expectations set appropriately. It also comes into play in terms of different parts of the organization asking for investment for different initiatives. And so how do we be convincing and let people know about the business case for what we want to do. So a lot of this communication involves being concise, practicing communication both by speaking, in writing, speaking to different audiences, being able to present in different settings, whether that's to an entire company at an all hands or to a small team. And so that ability to know what is important to the audience, to relate to the audience, and to achieve some sort of objective, whether it's educating the audience, whether it's helping them to feel motivated about the project. Those are all important skills as well. And then underlying all of these, I feel, is a skill of being self-aware, and for different people that looks like different ways. So for some people, maybe that means they reflect in a certain way. They have a writing practice where they go through what they've learned about themselves and lessons they've learned. So there are different methods, but this ability to take feedback, to think about it, to distill what is actually actionable, to want to make improvements and constantly be aware of how we're doing and how we can be better is also a great skill that will be applicable to anyone, not only in this field, but in any role.
Totally agree. Is your audience usually like external or internal or both?
I work with both audiences. I would say these days it is more internal focused because I work on mostly back-end engineering, and we have a lot of internal customers who are other teams in the company. And so a lot of times we're collaborating with them and we're treating them just as customers as well. We want them to have a positive user experience with what we build.
Yeah. Just like quick, curiosity, is the end goal, I'm not sure where you're located actually, is the end goal of your company to partner with like these big government energy programs where it's like, I don't know, Southern California Edison?
So I am based in New York, but yes, you are definitely on the right track. Our customers are energy utilities, and so many of them are big names that people will probably recognize from the they see on the monthly bill they get to energy. So yes, that's definitely, you're understanding correctly. That's the space that we operate in.
Super cool. We can skip 5 if you want, or we can come back to it, but do you want to skip 5?
Up to you. What are you feeling?
I don't know. I feel like the challenges, I mean, there would be a lot of challenges, I feel like. Let's go ahead. So what are the biggest challenges you face in your role?
Biggest challenges include the fact that the industry and the context is constantly changing. That's both a challenge and an opportunity that we can grasp, and also makes it exciting because that means there's always a lot to learn. So whether that's in terms of the technical front, the technologies we're using are always changing. So the best way to solve a certain problem today might not be the best way to solve it tomorrow. And so there's always a lot to keep up with. And then also in the energy industry, there are changes in, as you alluded to, government regulations, changes in consumer attitudes towards spending on energy. All of these also we have to adapt to. So that's one area of challenge. Another area of challenge is working through an organization where different teams might have different priorities, and there is sometimes lack of clarity about what is each team exactly working on, or what are the boundaries between different teams. How do we move forward as an organization as a whole towards the same goal? Different teams might have what seem like goals that are not that similar. So these are all organizational challenges that are in reality that happen at many companies, and part of the work is to part of the solution, be part of communicating well with other teams so that we stay aligned, to demand clarity. That's definitely part of my job, is to seek that clarity and to create that clarity.
Very cool. Yeah, sounds about like industry average. It's like tech industry, yeah. So six, what do you find most fulfilling about your work?
I find most fulfilling that I get to learn every single day. I am finding challenge in what I do every day, and I always have a new learning, whether that's about a technical aspect, maybe learning how to write my code in a better way. It could be learning about the energy industry. It could be learning about the people that I work with, my teammates, and how to better collaborate with them. Every day, I am finding some sort of novel insight that I did not know the day before. And that makes me feel really excited and makes me feel like I'm moving forward and that it's worth it for me to invest and continue to have this eye-opening experience.
Yeah, super cool. I wish I could have that more. Every day is just so mundane. Yeah.
Oh, you said that now. When you're at school, you'll miss school.
Uh-oh. So are there any specific tools or technologies you rely on heavily in your work, or you just talk about like the coding languages?
Sure, yes. So the team that I work on and the products and applications that we work on these days, I write a lot of Python, and we use several Python web frameworks like Fast API, Flask, for example. We use Amazon Web Services, we use Google Cloud, we use, of course, Git to do version control. We have a set of tools that we use to, like many of our industry peers, I'm sure, to help manage our work, tools like Jira. We also have different tools that help us to be able to communicate within the organization, right? So we use Zoom and we use
Teams.
Google Docs, Confluence. Exactly. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of different technologies that come into play in terms of day-to-day work.
Yeah. Very insightful. So how do you see this industry evolving in the next 5-10 years? Will AI be impactful, do you think?
It does seem that AI will be impactful. I would not say I am the best qualified to come up with an answer here. There are so many articles you can read from people who spend their time studying this question, so I won't pretend to know more than they do. But in terms of industry, it would be fun probably for me to share what I'm learning about the energy industry, just as I'm getting up to speed on it. There are movements that my company is part of to help move the industry towards electrification, and that involves having a lot of different parties with different incentives come together. It includes, homeowners, the end consumers, includes government institutions, it includes providers of energy, any intermediaries. And so right now, the experience can be fragmented, right? If we imagine a person living at home, they might have so many different devices and they're all connected in different ways. And it's annoying as an experience for a user, a customer, to have to think about for every device, I connect to this one thermostat. Do I connect to this other one? There is a lot of that sort of fragmentation that possibly in the next 5 to 10 years, there'll be better and better solutions to make it more seamless so that it's an easy experience for the customer and hopefully an enjoyable experience for the customer, that they don't just complain about how they have to pay their energy bill every month, and we can actually offer a positive experience.
Yeah. I think this question would be a little bit better if I said maybe like 30, 40 years, because I don't know, houses now kind of old infrastructure. Like my house, I can't control the thermostat from my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great that you're aware of that. And I mean, 30, 40, woof. That is far off.
Yeah.
I crystal ball.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what the world's gonna be like by then? Hopefully better. But what advice would you give to someone looking to enter this field?
Be curious and be open minded because many experiences, as we know, are different than we imagined them. So, as much as we can do research and like what you're doing now, doing informational sort of interviews, it's always a little bit different when you're actually working in it. And so, that requires that resilience and that
Mm-hmm.
curiosity to ask questions, understand what's going on, to check in with ourselves. Is this work what I want to be doing? How can I best contribute in this context? So that curiosity will be really helpful in terms of not only entering the field and getting up to speed on it, but also making sure that someone does it in a way that's fulfilling to them, that's productive and conducive to them and everyone else around them.
Super cool. Yeah. Last question. Could you recommend any resources for someone interested in this field?
Ooh, as we were saying at the beginning, there are
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
resources. So it really depends on someone's learning style. Some people like to read textbooks. There are textbooks on any topic you can think of. If it's in the software world on a technical topic, O'Reilly has a bunch of resources. Any technology you can think of, you can search, and there's probably a book they have on it. But that might be different than some people's learning style. So there might be also meetups or more interactive ways of learning that people can
Mm-hmm.
explore. In California, there are plenty of opportunities to go to in-person events, live events where there will be speakers, maybe people from different organizations sharing how their organization solved problems that you might be interested in. So that's another avenue in terms of organizations, especially for you as a young woman. There are organizations that focus on women in technology, women in business,
Mm-hmm.
women entrepreneurs. So those also might be great places to build connections, to learn in a safe space. And I'm always happy to, if there's any specific topic that you want to learn more about, to dig into what are specific resources that would fit that.
Awesome. Yeah. I think I'm gonna stop the recording.